My story doesn't begin beside my mother. Stirring cassoulet or making a Sunday bolognese. No heirloom recipes, no early sparks of culinary genius. I was aimless, with no direction or passion. Out of necessity, I took a job in my uncle's restaurant. But somewhere between the heat of the line and the rhythm of service, something shifted. I found purpose. I found passion. I was never the most naturally talented, but I learned fast that discipline could outwork talent any day. From that moment on, I made a promise to myself to show up, to study, to grind every single day.
Chef Dan, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for coming in.
Chicken. What are we?
Chicken.
What are we getting into today? I would say probably the most universal protein in America.
Yeah, I mean,
in my opinion, who doesn't like chicken?
Who doesn't like chicken? Usually, it can be very bland and boring, and people tend to overcook the heck out of it.
Absolutely,
and all that. But if you treat it right and cook it properly, it's super delicious, and there's a reason that everyone eats it and loves it. But going on, my childhood and my mom. So my mom was a chef before I was ever born. She worked for an OG by the name of Chef Norman Van Eigen down in Florida. And when we were kids, feeding 6 kids is not an easy task.
Definitely not.
So it was definitely a lot of, probably why people don't like chicken. Definitely a lot of frozen skinless chicken breast for dinner. But she always used to make a dish called chicken a la king. Basically, in essence, it's just a chicken dish, just poached or however, usually poached, and then you dice it up, serve it in a white cream sauce with mushrooms and peppers and all that. But today we're going to do my riff on it, if you will.
Love it.
So yeah, again, as a kid, it was always skinless chicken breast. I think one of the best parts of the chicken is the skin. Get it nice and crispy and salty. So yeah, still cooking simple. I tend to cook food and I'm like, oh, it's really easy. And everyone's like, that's not easy. But just a half a chicken, we'll debone it, give it a light cure, grill it, skin side down, and then we'll serve it with a mushroom sauce, kind of a sauce that we do on the menu here at Pasta Bar. Some really beautiful mushrooms right now in season, some chanterelle mushrooms and maitake mushrooms. We'll roast them in some brown butter. We'll make a sauce out of some really beautiful veg, some dried shiitake mushrooms, kombu seaweed for some nice umami and saltiness. It's just super tasty food.
I'm excited. Let's get into it.
Cool.
So tell me, what's the perfect meal for you? But also surrounding food, ambiance, people there. What are you drinking? What's the setting?
I think I probably have 2 different answers for that. So if it's the perfect meal, what do you just want to eat, which I was fortunate enough to have recently, is probably just a cheesesteak.
Okay.
And some pickled chilies, pickled peppers on the side, and a Dr. Pepper. But that's just my death row meal. But perfect ideal meal for me is, I want to go into a setting where it's not stuffy and you feel I need to dress a certain way or act a certain way. I want to feel comfortable. And then the food, I just want it to be tasty food that's well thought out. Sometimes it's food that you're like, wow, how did you conceptualize this? But sometimes it's just very classic, honest food. I just want food that's cooked well, seasoned well, that has a purpose behind it. I've ate at plenty of restaurants that have Michelin stars, and you can sit there and be like, the food was cooked perfectly. They've sourced the best ingredients in the world, but there's the why behind it is missing. Like, what's your why? And where's the passion? Where's the story behind it? Sometimes people are just like, I'm just doing this because I want all the accolades and awards, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. But the best food is always the food that has like a story behind it, a meaning behind it, passion behind it, a purpose behind it. So for me, it's just going into a space where you just feel comfortable, you feel welcomed, you feel the warmth, and the food is just true to the chef and what they're trying to do there. The chefs here, we spiel all the food to the guests. So we are interacting with the guests. Yeah. And I mean, speaking as a chef of 20 years, that is very introverted and awkward. If you're like just focused and like cooking all day, and then you have to talk to someone out of nowhere, there's going to be times where you're just fumbling over your words. I still do it, but more often than not, you're just like, I don't know what to say, and I feel weird. So it's like, just start having like the fun banter and talk to each other, so that way when like guests do come in, you're just like, oh yeah, I'm talking to you. Yeah. But also, like, you know, we don't want to talk to the guests like it's just like we're hanging out with some buddies at like the bar or something like that, but still talking to them like they're
there's a line.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to fall into the narrative that fine dining is like super proper and super stiff, and you know, there's a time and place for restaurants like that where there's like the captains are wearing like suits and you have white tablecloths, but we don't want that. We want it to be fun, but we'll just talk about it. You know, a big thing is just smile. It's something I have to remind myself. People have always looked at me when I'm cooking and like, why are you so angry? I'm like, I'm good. And they're like, no, you look so angry. I'm like, I get super focused and like I just have like this blank expression on my face and like I'm not smiling, so I look angry. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's sometimes I am angry. I can be a mean person. Yeah.
As can everyone though.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I always say it to people, I'm like, I'm not trying to be mean. There's times where it's like we still have a job to do, and it's very, you know, crucial that we're giving our all every single day. You know, I don't like when people are like, give me 115% every day, because we're human beings. Like, people have bad days. And so I always tell someone, if you only got 60% from me today, give me all of that. Give me all your 60%. Like, but I can't sit here and be like, you need to give me 115 every day. Yeah. But going back to my resting mean face, it's just realizing sometimes that like I'm very intense and I can be like scanning the dining room sometimes and just being like this. And I'm like, shit, smile, so that people don't think you're angry. And it's it's just a simple smile. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, we're on stage, and sometimes you have to fake it. Like, sometimes I've had plenty of bad days, plenty of bad days where I'm just like really like sad, or I'm anxious, or just not my day. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be interacting with people, and I don't want to be doing this. But it's like they don't care, and it's not like if they like knew, they would be like, who cares? But it's just like they're here to have a good time, and they're spending a lot of money. So sometimes you just gotta fake it, and you gotta put that smile on and just make them happy. And in the long run, it'll make you happy, because there's days where I've been like really sad or really upset, and I've turned to guests and they've said, this is the best meal I've ever had, or the best experience I've ever had, and I'll always remember this. Yeah. And they just brighten your day up.
It's gotta, in some ways, pull you out of that.
Yeah, for sure. And so, you know, is there times where you get guests that are just like not nice, and they're here because they can write it off on their, you know, company card?
Yeah.
Sure. And they don't care what you're doing. But for every one of those, you get people that are genuinely so happy and so appreciative of what you do. And you just never know. So it's just really leaning into it.
Yeah. And how are you changing and evolving and innovating? At least since your early days, how do you think you've changed as a chef and as a person? And
for sure. So changing as a chef, I've definitely, as far as, you know, because the chef is, you know, it's the whole shebang. There's a difference between, you know, I know a lot of people that are great cooks and they're not good chefs because a chef's a leader. Granted, you know, I turn to everyone and call them chef in the restaurant. Like I'll turn to front house people and call them chef. For me, it's like a term of endearment and it's like a sign of respect. But at the end of the day, a chef is a leader, a motivator, a mentor. But you know, I've known people that are great cooks and not good chefs. I've met people that are great chefs and not good cooks. But then as a chef, like as far as my food is concerned, it's so funny. You hear so many chefs say it. When I was younger, it was like, how can I manipulate this? And how many like cool, weird, wild things can I do where people are like, how'd you do that? And every chef I've worked for, they're like, the older you get, the simpler your food's gonna get.
More for the audience. We chopped up garlic, shallots, fennel.
Yes.
We broke down the chicken.
Yes.
Scraps, sauteed those.
Yep.
Took them out, threw in the garlic, fennel, and shallots.
So yeah, the whole process behind this, like I said, it's a dish, you know, obviously loosely inspired by something my mom used to make me. But again, doing my own riffs on things. A big thing for me is trying to utilize everything I can out of a product, especially at fine dining. There's just so much waste because you're like, I'm trying to make a perfect portion of stuff. So you're like cutting squares or doing circles where all of a sudden you have like all this trim. So just trying to utilize everything as much as you can, but also just trying to impart as much flavor as possible. So, I mean, again, the easiest way is like all the chicken bones, just roasting them very heavily. Then you create that, you know, fond at the bottom where you're, you know, cooking the vegetables in it and then some tomato paste, caramelize that for a nice rich flavor. And then just some white wine just to make it light, but also again, to scrape up that fond. And then just taking your time with, like, at the end of the day, like, sometimes great cooking is just patience. Which is something I lack tremendously. But it's weird, like, when I'm in a kitchen, I get very patient because I know the longer you take on something, the more time you take, the more attention to detail there is, the better outcome. So, but yeah, I mean, going back to the dish, so, I mean, just some more things I've added. I just covered with water. Usually in the restaurant, we would do chicken stock or, you know, something like that. But just for lack of not having chicken stock right now, because we used it all this past weekend. And then a good amount of thyme and bay leaf, fresh bay leaf if you have it. I know it's not the easiest ingredient to get a hold of. I added a little bit of white soy sauce, some kombu seaweed, and dried shiitake mushrooms. So again, like, kind of speaks to my cooking where I'm taking very French ingredients with, you know, shallot and garlic and white wine, the tomato paste and thyme and bay leaf, and then introducing a lot of Western ingredients to Eastern ingredients with the soy sauce and the kombu and the dried shiitakes to bring some umami and salinity, just balancing out different flavor profiles from different parts of the world. For me, it's fun. It's fun to, you know, blend cultures and celebrate really differences of cultures and foods and techniques and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll let this simmer for a bit. Oh, almost forget another culture I'm bringing into. So saffron. I love the flavor of saffron, and never being shy about the amount you use. I think people tend to get nervous about using a lot of saffron because it is very expensive, but it needs to be a good amount of it. It's super delicious and it creates a phenomenal flavor for me. So yeah, we'll let this simmer for a bit. And then we'll strain it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's so pungent.
Yeah, it's
We got a lot of flavors going on.
A lot going on in there. But yeah, you instantly get the perfume of the saffron. Yeah, mixed with some of that seaweed and the mushrooms. It's a really nice one.
Oh yeah. Pounding out some chicken.
So yeah, at this point, we have the half chicken deboned. We're gonna keep it intact together, but I'm gonna just slightly flatten out the breast so that it's about the same thickness as the thigh.
What do you cook for yourself at home? I'm sure it changes, but on like a typical basis.
Honestly, a lot of times it's chicken. It's mostly chicken and broccoli. I mean, we talked about it once. I've said broccoli is my favorite ingredient, vegetable at least to cook with. I just find it, one, super delicious. It's definitely one of those vegetables when you're a kid, it's like, can't have your dessert to eat your broccoli or your Brussels sprouts or like all the brassicas family, the cabbages and the cauliflowers. Again, going back to, I think people just growing up had like overcooked mushy broccoli, or it's like overcooked and it smells like farts, and like, which a lot of those like mustards and like all that tend to do when you like cook it to absolute oblivion.
Yeah.
But to me, broccoli is just, it's so versatile. I think the part that people tend to forget about is, you know, you get this huge stalk of broccoli where you have these beautiful crowns and the tops, and then you have this long stem, and everyone's usually like just throwing it away because like on the outside, like the exterior is super fibrous and it's like woody and you don't want to eat it.
Yeah.
But if you just peel that skin away, the stem is beautiful. It's hearty. You can sear it really heavily. But I think the versatility of broccoli is kind of perfect in one of the dishes we do here at the restaurant. So we do a spaghetti course where we make the spaghetti green, not from broccoli, but we make a green spaghetti and then we make the sauce.
From spinach?
Yeah, the spaghetti is made with a spinach powder, which makes it really, really green. But then we make a sauce from the broccoli florets. So we'll saute some ginger, some shallot, some chilies, and then we cook the florets with it, and then we blend it. So we have this like super creamy broccoli sauce, and then toss the pasta in there, and then we take the stem of the broccoli, again, that super hearty, delicious part, and we poach it with some fish sauce, some sesame oil, some ginger, lemongrass, and then we char it really heavily on the grill, get a lot of smoky flavor with it, and then we take more of the tops and we fry them with some onions and chicken skins, so you have this like really beautiful crispy crumble over top, and then yeah, there's other things in the dish, like we have some like beef tendon, and we do some grilled blue Caledonian prawns. But then we finish the dish with a really, really aromatic broth. We always say it's inspired by pho because it's not like a direct pho. Because we take chicken bones and we like roast them really heavily with traditionally pho. It's like you're just poaching chicken, so it's like a very white and light broth. But we wanted to do very, very roasted flavors, so we roast the chicken bones and we do charred onions and charred ginger and then all the traditional 5 spices, if you will. So it just balances out really beautifully, like the creaminess of the sauce and then some of the bitterness from the fried components and the smokiness from the grilled broccoli stem. So yeah, long story why I like broccoli. But yeah.
No, I'm not mesmerized right now. It's a wonderful story.
So yeah, at home it's usually like chicken and broccoli.
How self-critical are you? How are you critical?
Oh, I'm
yourself?
I'm my biggest enemy.
Yeah.
I'm very self-deprecating. I am constantly telling myself I'm not good enough. I'm not saying it's healthy or people should be thinking that way. But I'm my biggest critic. I'm starting to get to a point where I'm like, yeah, I get it. But you know, weirdly enough, in the last like week and a half, we've had a lot of guests come in. They're like, oh, I recently ate at the French Laundry. I was like, is everyone eating at the French Laundry right now? Well, like I've had guests that are like, I went to the French Laundry and like the food is better here. I had someone the other night, they're like, this reminded me of Noma. And I was like, all right, pump brakes a little bit. I'm not Rene Redzepi. But
That's gotta feel good though.
it feels
really
great.
good.
It feels great. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm very self-deprecating. I always kind of tell myself, not good enough, do better, try harder, do more. Which, like I said, it's probably not the healthiest way, but like it's helped me in the sense that I've just never rested on my laurels.
Never enough.
But it's really awesome to hear guests come in and like say like, oh, this food is better than a 2 Michelin-starred or 3 Michelin-starred restaurant that I went to recently. So it's a balance. Definitely
Absolutely.
a balance you gotta have.
So what can you feel comfortable to say you've achieved, and what is the rest of this living dream for you as a chef?
So what I feel comfortable to say I have achieved, man, that's a tough one, because kind of going back to just how I speak to myself and all of that, I think
whether that is like position as a chef or what you think you're capable of as a
for sure.
Aside, like, position, this, that. I mean,
because part of the very critical part of me is saying like, you haven't achieved enough yet, you haven't done anything. But no, I mean, I think the part of me that's realistic is I think I've achieved my style and who I am as a chef, whether it's management and running kitchens, but most importantly, my style of food and how I cook and how I plate food, and my level of hospitality. And then the dream for me, I mean, I definitely want my own restaurant. I think that's a dream of a lot of chefs. I also want to do more than just fine dining. I love fine dining. It's something that pushes me, and I strive for the best every single day. And, you know, it's a conversation I had with someone recently where, you know, they're like, why does fine dining have to be the end all be all critical? This is me at my greatest form. And it doesn't, but for me, like, that's what makes the most sense. But I also want to follow other food passions I have. One of them is sandwiches, being from Philadelphia, like cheesesteaks and hoagies and all that. So I want to explore food in like all its forms, and like what makes, like I said, my death row meal is a cheesesteak.
what does consistency mean to you when you're doing 3 turns a night?
It's everything.
Yeah,
It's
day
everything.
after day, week after week.
It's everything. You know, it's one of those things we try and talk about ad nauseum. Oh, and right now we're just going to emulsify, again, unhealthy amounts of butter into the sauce because mo butter, mo better.
Yep.
But consistency is everything. It's, I would say it's just as important for us to have the same energy we're only open Tuesday through Saturday. So, you know, it's just as important for us to have the same energy at the 5 o'clock seating on Tuesday as it is the 9:30 seating on Saturday.
Yeah.
Which is easier said than done. I always find it weird if there's chefs that, you know, are like, oh, this is my secret recipe and I'm not sharing it. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you gatekeeping? Like, this is, cooking is supposed to be a learning and teaching thing where, you know, I mean, it's like they say, imitation is the highest form of flattery. So I think chefs get offended when it's like, oh, why are you doing that thing? That's my thing. But I think a lot of people have gotten to a point now where they realize, like, hey man, you're doing what I did. That's pretty cool. There's a chef by the name of Alex Stupak. He was the pastry chef at Alinea for a long time. And he has his own restaurants in New York. Very, very talented. He's doing like series on Instagram where he's like showing people like some of his pastry techniques and stuff that he's done. And one of them he did was it's a pliable chocolate ganache. So you can take like this bar of chocolate and like twist it and turn it however you want. And he even said it. He's like, I think this was the most like imitated or copied like dessert I've ever done. And so, and I think he even said it too, where he's like, I'm kind of flattered by it. And there's so many chefs in the comment section. I was one of them. I was like, oh, I've 100% copied this dessert before.
Yeah.
And, you know, he wasn't at a point where he was just like, oh, how dare you like copy my food? It's, you know, who inspires you, what inspires you. And I think that's what this career and industry is all about, is learning from other people. And that's how you create your style as well. You know, you work for as many chefs as you can that inspire you and do amazing, great things. And you take that all together and you blend them into yourself.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Looks like the chicken is good to go. So we're just gonna broke apart a little bit, but whatever. We're just having fun and cooking good food.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna take this off and let it rest. You know, the biggest piece of advice I can give to anyone who's cooking any protein at home, even burgers, let the meat rest. Let the protein rest. If you were to cut into this right now, everything's just going to spill out.
Juices will explode.
So you just need to let anything rest. Even, like I said, even burgers. Like, let a burger rest and then bite into it. Everyone wants food like screaming hot. If you're going to eat this while it's screaming hot, you're just going to lose everything.
Yeah.
So give it a minute to rest. A good rule of thumb is, like, if you cooked it for, I don't know, let's take 20 minutes, let it rest for about 5. But yeah, while that is resting, we can get everything else set up, ready to go. All right, so at this point, we're gonna bring together the mushrooms and the sauce, check for seasoning, all that kind of stuff, while the chicken is resting. So it's a good tip too, if you're at home cooking dinner party, something like that. While it's resting, you get all your sides ready to go, or all your sauces, or whatever it is you're cooking at home.
Ratatouille is my favorite food movie I've seen. I mean, the scene at the end when Antonigo takes a bite of it and it sends him back to his childhood. That scene has genuinely brought tears to my eyes before. How, obviously in that scene, you see the power of food, the emotions that it can bring out. How do you believe that food can transfer emotion?
I mean, it's exactly like that scene in the movie. It's wild how food can take you to a time and a place and remind you of childhood, or just, I mean, even I've had people that get very emotional because, like, foods like this reminded me of, you know, my grandmother who passed, who cooked like this, or, you know, something that might have been very sad in the moment, but it brought back good memories still because it reminded you of someone you loved, or, you know, a time and a place. And that's what's great to me about food and cooking. One of the reasons I love it too is, I mean, it's very, very rare that you're sitting down to eat with someone that you don't like. So usually when you're eating and enjoying a meal and an experience with someone, it's with people you love and you want to talk to and be around. So food and emotion are like one and the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, now we'll just.
So tell me, what do the hand tats say on the fingers?
So the fingers across both hands says cocinero,
Okay.
which means cook or chef in Spanish. I always wanted knuckle tattoos, and I knew cocinero was going to line up right. And then plus it coincides with, I have a love for Latin cuisine, Latin peoples. I speak a little Spanish, so it just made sense to get that one. And then what I always like to do with proteins is a little flake salt. It obviously helps like as a finishing salt for seasoning, but if you get a nice one, it brings a little bit of texture too.
Yeah. All right.
Have at it, first bite. You can Such an elegant bite.
I love it. That's more like it. No, that's unbelievable.
Doesn't suck.
Doesn't suck. Okay. Okay, so if someone came to you, ready to back you up with as much money as needed, giving you every opportunity, location wherever you want, whatever architect you want, this, that, where are you putting a restaurant and what are you doing?
I would probably lean towards Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, I have family there. I live there. It's an amazing city. It's a good food scene. It's just my vibe. Just a very like outdoorsy city. No, I would want to create a restaurant that creates a lasting memory. And to me, that is once you like get on property, it's like I am somewhere else. I've been transported somewhere.
Yeah.
And for me, that also means like, you know, a farm or a garden on property, and walking into a space that's very terroir and like of the environment, but a very sensory experience where you're just experiencing different spaces, different flavors, but also, you know, kind of what we're talking about here, where it's fun music, a fun atmosphere, still fine dining, you know, when it comes to the food and the style of service, but still want it to be fun, where people just feel like they can relax and just be themselves. But I want it to be an experience that people will walk away from and say, oh my God, that's some of the best food I've ever had. And it was amazing. And everyone was so nice and so awesome. So nothing too complicated.
Yeah.
I mean, the complicated part comes when it's like, you talk to most chefs and they're like, I want all the nice plates and all the nice stoves and all the nice, you know, all that kind of stuff. But just somewhere where it transports you somewhere else, because I think it's easy to get stuck in the rat race that is life. And, you know, there's a million and one things going on in the world right now that aren't fun. So just creating a space where people can kind of just break away from it for at least a little bit.
Well, can't wait to try one day. Chef Dan, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Come check out Chef Dan's wonderful cooking at 1017 East 6th Street at Pasta Bar in Austin, Texas. Thank you.
Thank you.